2006, GoPro introduces its first digital action camera. GoPro calls this camera HERO. The modern consumer action camera was born. This is the white HERO from 2008. As you can see, it still has an optical viewfinder. In 2010, the HD HERO appears, an action camera that is relatively close to today's GoPros. The HD HERO is capable of shooting videos in full HD. By the way, Nick Woodman came up with the idea for the first action camera because he wanted to take pictures of himself surfing. A lot has happened since then and cameras have changed a lot. Today, almost every commercially available action camera is able to shoot videos in 4K and also to create high-resolution slow-motion footage. And while GoPro has done a lot for this market, a market they actually invented, the big innovations have been absent in recent years. True, the resolution has been increased and also the frame rates have been steadily increased. The stabilization has been improved, but basically the GoPro Hero 11 corresponds in many aspects to the GoPro Hero 5 from 2016. At some point, this type of product reaches its limits and it's time for something new. Personally, I don't think the future of the action camera will be an evolution of this camera. I think the action camera of the future will look more like this. This is the Insta360 X3, and in this video I'm going to show you why I think this camera is closer to the future of action cameras than the current GoPro Hero 11 or any other action camera, including the Osmo Action 3. I'm going to explain to you what the big advantages of this camera are and why it's especially great for shooting action. When it comes to 360 cameras, I prefer cameras from Insta360 because I've always had good experiences with them. When you're shooting action, one of the big problems is getting the framing right. You're on a bike or on a motorbike, or you're jumping out of a plane with a parachute and you're attaching your camera to a helmet or even your hand. In all these cases, it is really not easy to get the perfect framing with the camera. This is especially the case if you have to film yourself during your activity, and especially these important and exciting moments can often not be repeated. I'm thinking of a skydive, a trick with the snowboard, or even a special wave while surfing. And unfortunately, I have to say that I have already messed up a lot of shots due to the incorrect framing. It took me a lot of time and trial and error to learn more or less how to mount an action camera correctly in order to get the right angle. And that brings us to perhaps the biggest advantage of a 360 camera like the X3. You mount your camera and start shooting without having to worry about the right framing, because you can simply choose the framing you like best in post-production. And there is no risk that you have completely messed up the shot because the camera was mounted at the wrong angle, or because you were not able to set up the camera properly in a hurry. You might be worried that using a 360 camera is complicated and laborious, but that's not the case. It's really easy to choose the right framing for a shot taken with the X3. You open the Insta360 app, import the shots, and then you can easily look around in the image using the mouse and decide which perspective you find best. Once you've done that and realized the benefits of it, you won't want to miss it. I'll never be able to correct these shots here, which were taken with a GoPro. I simply didn't manage to set up the camera properly in the rush and in the cold, because as I said, that takes time and experience. And of course, there are always those who basically don't want to edit their own shots, but simply want to press record and then share the clip. And I can understand that too. We live in a fast-paced and stressful world. Free time is limited. To make things even easier for you here, Insta360 has introduced what they call the Me mode with the X3. With Me mode, the subject is automatically centered by the camera, so there's no need to adjust the shot afterwards to make yourself the center of the action. So you can just press record and be sure that the framing will be right. And as you can see here, the Me mode also has a portrait mode, so you can instantly share your videos on social media. While the Me mode is intended more for social media, it is also possible to automatically center and track a subject in a normal 360 shot. For this, however, you need to use the Insta360 app, but this is also very simple. You select the subject to be tracked and the app automatically centers the subject of your choice, so you don't have to do any extensive editing. As you can see in these shots, reframing offers you completely new possibilities. There are almost no limits to your creativity, and your shots take on a whole new dimension compared to a shot taken with a GoPro or any other traditional action camera. It seems right to tell you at this point that reframing the shot does of course have a disadvantage. The Insta360 X3 captures footage in 5.7K, which is a bit more than the GoPro Hero 11, which can shoot in 5.3K. However, as just discussed, you still have to pick the right angle from a 360 shot. And that is nothing other than a digital crop. This in turn naturally leads to a reduction in resolution and a reduction in image quality. If you mainly view your clips on your smartphone or use them for social media, this is hardly a disadvantage. If, on the other hand, you use them on a PC or TV, the difference will of course be noticeable. It has to be said that the current state of technology is not yet ready to make such a high-resolution 360 video in order to be able to extract a 4K clip from it. At least the technology is not yet ready to make this possible in an affordable consumer camera. It would be possible to take even higher resolution videos, of course, for example in 8K, but that would have a whole series of disadvantages. The videos would need a huge amount of storage, the recording of 8K videos would bring overheating problems, and those who use a slightly older computer or an older smartphone would probably have difficulties editing the videos. But it's clear that it will be possible in the future. But what if you already want to shoot a regular high-definition video every now and then? Insta360 has thought of that too. Because if you want to take a regular 4K shot with the X3, like with a GoPro or an Osmo Action, you can do that. You're not forced to use this camera exclusively for 360 videos. You can also use the X3 like a typical action camera and shoot 4K videos with it. To do this, you simply switch to the single lens mode. And now you can use the X3 like any other action camera, without reframing and with no reduction in image quality. So the X3 is two products in one. And this is where another strength of the X3 comes into play. What I particularly like about action cameras is the immersive look they create. This immersive look is created by the extremely wide angle of the action camera's lenses. The wide angle makes you feel like you're in the middle of the action. GoPro has introduced a new field of view with the HERO 11. Hyperview creates an even wider field of view than any previous GoPro field of view. The really wide field of view of the Osmo Action 3 should also be mentioned in this context. But neither the Osmo Action 3 nor the HERO 11 can compete with the X3's extremely wide field of view. Here you can see a direct comparison between the max view of the X3 and hyper view of the GoPro HERO 11. As you can see, the max view field of view of the X3 is even wider. This is particularly advantageous for POV recordings. Just for understanding, this is a conventional 4K shot of the X3 and not a crop from a 360 shot, because it is clear that a crop from a 360 shot allows an even wider field of view. One of the GoPro HERO 11's great strengths is its excellent stabilization. Of course, the same also applies to the Osmo Action 3. Here you can see in this comparison that the X3 can easily keep up with the stabilization of the GoPro. In fact, the X3 manages to stabilize the shot even better than the GoPro. Of course, a GoPro with its conventional sensor and its conventional field of view also has limits when it comes to stabilization. These limits can only be exceeded by a new technology, for example 360 video. The X3 is therefore superior to a brand new HERO 11 in two very important areas, in the wide field of view and in stabilization. That also in single lens mode and not only in 360 mode. If you know my GoPro videos, then you know that the pole is my preferred accessory. I actually always create my videos myself and I'm not so lucky to always be filmed by someone. For that reason alone, a pole is the best tool for me. I use it when I'm skiing or hiking, for example. And now imagine that you can remove these poles from the shot without any effort. I don't need to tell you that the poles don't really improve the look of the shot. And this happens automatically and you don't have to do anything. You don't have to learn any complicated software or do any complex editing. Removing the poles is done automatically by the software. By the way, Insta360 offers fantastic poles for their cameras like the X3. They come in all different lengths. They are small when collapsed, and depending on the size they get quite long when you extend them. That's important for me because I want to be able to easily stow the poles in my jacket pocket when I go skiing, for example. The reframing, the extremely wide field of view, the fantastic stabilization, and the removal of the poles from the image make the X3 a great action camera. This is because these are features that are especially beneficial when shooting action or when taking POV shots. This makes the X3 an excellent alternative to the GoPro HERO 11 or Osmo Action 3. If the reduced image quality when reframing a particular shot bothers you, or if you don't want to do any post-processing, you can also shoot a normal, superbly stabilized 4K shot. And I am convinced that this is the way action cameras will look like in the future. And because we are talking about the future, the Insta360 app offers all those who are not very interested in extensive video editing an AI-powered tool that not only offers automatic editing, but also a variety of interesting effects to enhance your social media presence. For example, with Sky Swap, you can change the sky with 2 clicks. While this would be very time-consuming and complicated with a normal editing program, it's really quite simple here. And not only can you add a much more dramatic sky to the shot, there are also a number of abstract and fanciful sky images available. And especially when it comes to such creative effects, GoPro's app can't keep up. I think that the market for traditional action cameras is becoming saturated and that the product life cycle of these cameras is slowly coming to an end. The X3 can also compete very well with a GoPro in terms of price. You can find links to current offers in the video description. And with that, I would like to say goodbye for today. If the video was interesting for you, give me a like as feedback. Write me your opinion in the comments. There will be more tests and tutorials on the X3 and the GoPro HERO 11, so stay tuned and see you next time.